nirvishesha shunyavadi paschatya deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama Hare Hare Go Premanande Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So this afternoon we'll be dedicating the session to Hari Priya. She had that accident yesterday. We got good news from the hospital that they had a very successful surgery. Nothing wrong with her back, just her two legs, and they successfully put in what was necessary in order for it to heal properly, and she should make a full recovery. So thank you everyone for your prayers, and this is for Hari Priya and her family, this next session. Dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, dear Srila Prabhupada, if you so desire, please bring Hari Priya to full health as quickly as possible, and please assuage the angst of her whole family who are in quite a lot of anxiety right now. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. We're taking up at the 9th chapter of the Madhya Lila, the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we're at text number 146. This is Lord Chaitanya's travels to holy places, and here it is at 146. According to transcendental realization, there is no difference between the forms of Krishna and Narayan. Yet in Krishna there is a special transcendental attraction due to the conjugal mellow, and consequently he surpasses Narayan. This is the conclusion of transcendental mellows. Purport: this is a verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.59. Here Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj says that Lord Chaitanya spoke the verse to Venkatabhata, and earlier he said that Venkatabhata spoke it to the Lord. But since their conversation took place long before the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu was composed, the question may be raised as to how either of them quoted the verse. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that this verse and many others like it were current among devotees long before the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu was composed. Thus devotees would always quote them and explain their purport in ecstasy. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna attracts the mind of the Goddess of Fortune, but Lord Narayan cannot attract the minds of the gopis. This proves the super excellence of Krishna. To say nothing of Lord Narayan personally, Lord Krishna himself appeared as Narayan just to play a joke on the gopis. Although Krishna assumed the four-armed form of Narayan, he could not attract the serious attention of the gopis in ecstatic love. Once Lord Sri Krishna playfully manifested himself as Narayan with four victorious hands and a beautiful form. When the gopis saw this exalted form, however, their ecstatic feelings were crippled. A learned scholar, therefore, cannot understand the gopis' ecstatic feelings, which are firmly fixed upon the original form of Lord Krishna as the son of Nanda Maharaj. The wonderful feelings of the gopis in ecstatic paramarasa with Krishna constitute the greatest mystery in spiritual life. This is a verse spoken by Narada Muni in the Lalita Madhava Nataka 6.14, a drama written by Srila Rupa Goswami. In this way, Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu deflated the pride of Venkatabhata, but just to make him happy again, he spoke as follows. The Lord pacified Venkatabhata by saying, actually, whatever I have said is by way of jest. Now you can hear from me the conclusion of the Shastras, in which every Vaishnava devotee has firm faith. There is no difference between Lord Krishna and Lord Narayan, for they are of the same form. Similarly, there is no difference between the gopis and the Goddess of Fortune, for they are also of the same form. The Goddess of Fortune enjoys the association of Krishna through the gopis. One should not differentiate between the forms of the Lord, for such a conception is offensive. There is no difference between the transcendental forms of the Lord. Different forms are manifested due to different attachments of different devotees. Actually, the Lord is one, but he appears in different forms just to satisfy his devotees. Purport: in the Brahma Samhita 5.33 it is stated, Vaitam Achutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha. The Lord is Advaita, without differentiation. There is no difference between the forms of Krishna, Rama, Narayan, and Vishnu. All of them are one. Sometimes foolish people ask whether when we chant Rama in the Hare Krishna mantra, we refer to Lord Ramachandra or Lord Balaram. If a devotee says that the name Rama in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra refers to Balaram, a foolish person may become angry because to him the name Rama refers to Lord Ramachandra. Actually, there is no difference between Balaram and Lord Rama. It does not matter whether one refers to Balaram or to Lord Ramachandra when chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, for there is no difference between them. However, it is offensive to think that Balaram is superior to Lord Ramachandra or vice versa. Neophyte devotees do not understand this Shastra conclusion, and consequently they unnecessarily create an offensive situation. In text 154, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu clarified this in a very lucid way. Ishvaratve bheda manile hoy aparadha. It is offensive for one to differentiate between the forms of the Lord. On the other hand, one should not think that the forms of the Lord are the same as the forms of the demigods. This is certainly offensive, as confirmed by the Vaishnava Tantra. yastu narayanam devam brahma rudradi daivatai samatvenaiva viksheta sa pashandi bhavedruvam. A pashandi is one who considers the great demigods, such as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan from the Hari Bhakti Vilas. The conclusion is that we should neither differentiate between the forms of the Lord nor equate the forms of the Lord with the forms of demigods or human beings. For instance, sometimes foolish sannyasis, thinking the body of the Lord to be material, equate Ridra Narayan with Narayan. And this is certainly offensive. Unless one is instructed by a bona fide spiritual master, he cannot perfectly understand these different forms. The Brahma Samhita confirms, Vedeshu durlabham adurlabham atma bhaktau. One cannot understand the difference between the forms of the Lord simply by academic study or by reading Vedic literature. One must learn from a realized devotee. Only then can one learn how to distinguish between one form of the Lord and another. The conclusion is that there is no difference between the forms of the Lord, but there is a difference between his forms and those of the demigods. Text 156. When the jewel known as Vaidurya touches various other materials, it appears to be separated into different colors, and consequently its forms also appear different. Similarly, according to the meditational ecstasy of the devotee, the Lord who is known as Achyuta, the infallible one, appears in different forms, although he is essentially one. This is quoted from the Sri Narada Pancharatra. Venkatabhatta then said, I am an ordinary fallen living entity, but you are Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. The transcendental pastimes of the Lord are unfathomable, and I do not know anything about them. Whatever you say, I accept as the truth. This is the way to understand the truth about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After hearing the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna said very much the same thing. Sarvam etadrutam manye yan mam vadasi keshava nahi te bhagavan vyaktim vidudeva nadanava. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. It is not possible to understand the truth about the pastimes of the Lord simply by using our own logic, argument, and academic education. We must receive bona fide information from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just as Arjuna received information when Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita. We have to accept the Bhagavad Gita or any other Vedic literature in good faith. These Vedic literatures are the only source of knowledge about the Lord. We must understand that we cannot comprehend the absolute truth by the speculative process. I have been engaged in the service of Lakshmi Narayan, and it is due to their mercy that I have been able to see your lotus feet. Out of your causeless mercy, you have told me of the glories of Lord Krishna. No one can reach the end of the opulences, qualities, and forms of the Lord. I can now understand that devotional service unto Lord Krishna is the supreme form of worship. Out of your causeless mercy, you have made my life successful simply by explaining the facts. After saying this, Venkatabhatta fell down before the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord, out of his causeless mercy, embraced him. When the period of Chaturmasya was completed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took permission to leave from Venkatabhatta, and after visiting Sri Ranga, he proceeded further toward southern India. Venkatabhatta did not want to return home, but also wanted to go with the Lord. It was with great endeavor that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade him farewell. When he did so, Venkatabhatta fell down unconscious. Such are the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the son of Mother Shachi, at Sri Rangashetra. When the Lord arrived at Rishabha Hill, he saw the temple of Lord Narayan and offered obeisances and various prayers. Rishabha Hill, Anagata, Malaya Parvat, is situated 12 miles north of Madurai city in the district of Madurai in southern Tamil Nadu. It is one of the mountains known as Kutakachalas. Near Rishabha Hill is a forest where Lord Rishabdev burned himself to ashes. Paramananda Puri had stayed at Rishabha Hill during the 4 months of the rainy season, and when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, he immediately went to see him. Upon meeting Paramananda Puri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered him all respects, touching his lotus feet, and Paramananda Puri embraced the Lord in ecstasy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed with Paramananda Puri in the Brahmana's house where he was residing. The two of them passed 3 days there discussing topics of Krishna. Paramananda Puri informed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he was going to see Purushottam at Jagannath Puri, and after seeing Lord Jagannath there, he would go to Bengal to bathe in the Ganges. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then told him, "Please return to Jagannath Puri, for I will return there very soon from Rameshwara Setubandha. It is my desire to stay with you, and therefore, if you would return to Jagannath Puri, you would show great mercy to me." After talking in this way with Paramananda Puri, the Lord took his permission to leave, and very pleased departed for southern India. Thus Paramananda Puri started for Jagannath Puri, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began walking towards Sri Shaila. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur remarks, which Sri Shaila is being indicated by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is not clearly understood. There is no temple of Mallikarjuna in this area because the Sri Shaila located in the district of Dharwad cannot possibly be there. That Sri Shaila is on the southern side of Belgaum, and the Shiva temple of Mallikarjuna is located there. Refer to text 15 of this chapter. It is said that on that hill Lord Shiva lived with Devi. Also Lord Brahma lived there with all the demigods. In Sri Shaila, Lord Shiva and his wife Durga lived in the dress of Brahmanas. And when they saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they became very pleased. Lord Shiva, dressed like a Brahmana, gave alms to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and invited him to spend 3 days in a solitary place. Sitting there together, they talked very confidentially. After talking with Lord Shiva, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his permission to leave and went to Kamakoshti Puri. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at southern Mathura, from Kamakoshti he met a Brahmana. Purport: southern Mathura, presently known as Madurai, is situated on the banks of the Bhagai river. This place of pilgrimage is specifically meant for the devotees of Lord Shiva. Therefore it is called Shaiva Kshetra, that is the place where Lord Shiva is worshipped. In this area there are mountains and forests. There are also 2 Shiva temples, one known as Rameshwara and the other known as Sundareshwara. There is also a temple to Devi called the Meenakshi Devi Temple, which displays very great architectural craftsmanship. It was built under the supervision of the kings of Pandya dynasty, and when the Muslims attacked this temple, as well as the temple of Sundareshwara, great damage was done. In the Christian year of 1372, a king named Kampana Udayara reigned on the throne of Madurai. Long ago, Emperor Kukshetra ruled this area, and during his reign he established a colony of Brahmanas. A well-known king named Anantaguna Pandya is an 11th generation descendant of Emperor Kukshetra. The Brahmana who met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu invited the Lord to his home. This Brahmana was a great devotee and an authority on Lord Sri Ramachandra. He was always detached from material activities. After bathing in the river at Kritamala, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the Brahmana's house to take lunch, but he saw that the food was unprepared because the Brahman had not cooked it. Seeing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "My dear sir, please tell me why you have not cooked. It is already noon." The Brahmana replied, "My dear Lord, we are living in the forest. For the time being, we cannot get all the ingredients for cooking. When Lakshmana brings all the vegetables, fruits and roots from the forest, Sita will do the necessary cooking." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very satisfied to hear about the Brahmana's method of worship. Finally, the Brahmana hastily made arrangements for cooking. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his lunch at about 3 o'clock, but the Brahman, being very sorrowful, fasted. While the Brahmana was fasting, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, "Why are you fasting? Why are you so unhappy? Why are you so worried?" The Brahmana replied, "I have no reason to live. I shall give up my life by entering either fire or water." My dear sir, Mother Sita is the mother of the universe and the supreme goddess of fortune. She has been touched by the demon Ravana, and I am troubled upon hearing this news. Sir, due to my unhappiness, I cannot continue living. Although my body is burning, my life is not leaving. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "Please do not think this way any longer. You are a learned Pandit. Why don't you consider the case?" Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, "Sita Devi, the dearmost wife of the Supreme Lord Ramachandra, certainly has a spiritual form full of bliss. No one can see her with material eyes, for no materialist has such power. To say nothing of touching Mother Sita, a person with material senses cannot even see her. When Ravana kidnapped her, he kidnapped only her material illusory form. As soon as Ravana arrived before Sita, she disappeared. Then, just to cheat Ravana, she sent an illusory material form. Spiritual substance is never within the jurisdiction of the material conception. This is always the verdict of the Vedas and Puranas. As we hear in the Katha Upanishad, spirit is not within the jurisdiction of material eyes, words, or mind. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam, a human being who identifies with the body made of 3 elements with his self, who considers the byproducts of his body to be his kinsmen, who considers the land of his birth worshipable, and who goes to a place of pilgrimage simply to take a bath rather than to meet men of transcendental knowledge there, is to be considered like a cow or an ass. These are some Vedic statements about spiritual substance. Spiritual substance cannot be seen by the unintelligent because they do not have the eyes or the mentality to see the spirit soul. Consequently, they think that there is no such thing as spirit. But the followers of the Vedic injunctions take their information from the Vedic statements, such as the verses from the Katha Upanishad and Srimad Bhagavatam quoted above. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then assured the Brahmana, "Have faith in my words and do not burden your mind any longer with this misconception." Purport: this is the process of spiritual understanding. Achintya kalo ye bhava na tams tarkena yojayet. We should not try to understand things beyond our material conception by argument and counter-argument. Mahajano yena kata sapanta. We have to follow in the footsteps of great authorities coming down in the parampara system. If we approach a bona fide acharya and keep faith in his words, spiritual realization will be easy. Although the Brahmana was fasting, he had faith in the words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and accepted food. In this way his life was saved. After thus assuring the Brahmana, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu proceeded further into southern India and finally arrived at Govardhana, where he bathed in the river Kritamala. Presently, the Kritamala river is known as the river Bhagai or Vaigai. This river has three tributaries, namely Suruli, Varahanadi, and Batila Gundu. The river Kritamala is also mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.539 by the sage Karabhajana. At Durvashana, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Ramachandra, and on the hill known as Mahendra Shaila, he saw Lord Parashuram. In Durvashana, or Darbhashayana, now known as Tirupulani, which is 7 miles east of Ramnad, there is a temple of Lord Ramachandra. The hill known as Mahendra Shaila is near Tirunelveli, and at the end of this hill is a city known as Tiruchendur. West of Mahendra Shaila is the territory of Tribankur. There is mention of Mahendra Shaila in the Ramayana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to Setu Banda, Rameshwara, where he took his bath at the place called Danus Tirtha. From there he visited the Rameshwara temple and then took rest. Purport: the path from Mandapam through the ocean to the island known as Pambam consists partly of sand and partly of water. The island of Pambam is about 17 miles long and 6 miles wide. On this island, 4 miles north of Pambam harbor, is Setubanda, where the temple of Rameshwara is located. This is a temple of Lord Shiva, and the name Rameshwara indicates that he is a great personality whose worshipable deity is Lord Rama. Thus, the Lord Shiva found in the temple of Rameshwara is a great devotee of Lord Ramachandra. It is said, Devi Patanam Arabhya Gachebhya Setu Bandhanam. After visiting the temple of the goddess Durga, one should go to the temple of Rameshwara. In this area there are 24 different holy places, one of which is Danus Tirtha, located about 12 miles southeast of Rameshwara. It is near the last station of the South Indian Railway, a station called Ramnad. It is said that here, on the request of Ravana's younger brother, Vibhishana, Lord Ramachandra destroyed the bridge to Lanka with his bow while returning to his capital. It is also said that one who visits Danus Tirtha is liberated from the cycle of birth and death, and that one who bathes there gets all the fruitive results of performing the yajna known as Agnishtoma. There, among the Brahmanas, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu listened to the Kurma Purana, wherein is mentioned the chaste woman's narration. Purport: Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur remarks that only 2 khandas of the Kurma Purana are now available, namely Purva Khanda and Uttara Khanda. Sometimes it is said that the Kurma Purana contains 6,000 verses, but according to Srimad Bhagavatam, the original Kurma Purana contains 17,000 verses. It is considered the 15th of the 18 Mahapuranas. Srimati Sita Devi is the mother of the 3 worlds and the wife of Lord Ramachandra. Among chaste women, she is supreme, and she is the daughter of King Janak. When Ravana came to kidnap Mother Sita and she saw him, she took shelter of the fire god Agni. The fire god covered the body of Mother Sita, and in this way she was protected from the hands of Ravana. Upon hearing from the Kurma Purana how Ravana had kidnapped a false form of Mother Sita, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very satisfied. The fire god Agni took away the real Sita and brought her to the place of Parvati, goddess Durga. An illusory form of Mother Sita was then delivered to Ravana, and in this way Ravana was cheated. After Ravana was killed by Lord Ramachandra, Sita Devi was brought before the fire and tested. When the illusory Sita was brought before the fire by Lord Ramachandra, the fire god made the illusory form disappear and delivered the real Sita to Lord Ramachandra. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this story, he was very pleased and remembered the words of Ram Das Vipra. Indeed, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard these conclusive statements from the Kurma Purana, he felt great happiness. After asking the Brahmana's permission, he took possession of the manuscript leaves of the Kurma Purana. Sri Chaitanya, since the Kurma Purana was very old, the manuscript was also very old. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took possession of the original leaves in order to have direct evidence. The text was copied onto new leaves in order that the Purana be replaced. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then returned to southern Mathura, Madurai, and delivered the original manuscript of the Kurma Purana to Ram Das Vipra for distribution. When he was petitioned by Mother Sita, the fire god Agni brought forth an illusory form of Sita, and Ravana, who had 10 heads, kidnapped the false Sita. The original Sita then went to the abode of the fire god. When Lord Ramachandra tested the body of Sita, it was the false illusory Sita that had entered the fire. At that time, the fire god brought the original Sita from his abode and delivered her to Lord Ramachandra. These two verses are taken from the Kurma Purana. Ramdas Vipra was very pleased to receive the original leaf manuscript of the Kurma Purana, and he immediately fell down before the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and began to cry. After receiving the manuscript, the Brahmana, being very pleased, said, "Sir, you are Lord Ramachandra himself, and have come in the dress of a sannyasi to give me audience. My dear sir, you have delivered me from a very unhappy condition. I request that you take your lunch at my place. Please accept this invitation. Due to my mental distress, I could not give you a very nice lunch the other day. Now, by good fortune, you have come again to my home." Saying this, the Brahmana very happily cooked food, and a first-class dinner was offered to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed that night in the house of the Brahmana. Then, after showing him mercy, the Lord started toward the Tamraparni river in Bangladesh. Bangladesh is situated in the southern part of India known as Kerala and Chola. In all these areas, there were many kings with the title Pandya who ruled over Madurai and Rameshwara. In the Ramayana, the Tamraparni river is mentioned. The Tamraparni, also known as the Puranai, flows through Tirunelveli before entering the Bay of Bengal. The Tamraparni river is also mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.539. And now we'll take a few reflections or questions. Looking to the outside people's party. Seeing no movement. Yes, there's one hand way in the back. I see an unembodied hand.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. I had a question. If the real Sita was in the fire, why did Lord Ramachandra get the illusory form of Sita back also?
What?
Where did he get the illusory form of Sita back? The real Sita was in the fire.
The real Sita.
Was in the fire.
Yes.
Yeah, him by Agni. So then why did he go all the way to London to get the illusory Sita?
Oh, I see. Well, he played out the pastime in order to enjoy the rasa of Vira rasa of rescuing Sita. It's for his pleasure that the whole pastime takes place, known as Vira rasa, when he saves his wife. and kills Ramachandra. And Ravana, excuse me. When Ramachandra kills Ravan, it's a story full of valor and heroism. And he enjoyed that, so that's why he did it. You know the verse from Queen Kunti, Maya Javani Kachanam, Agnad Hoksa Jamaviyam, Lanlaksha Se Muda Drisha. Finish it. Can you finish it? I'm asking her. Thank you, Gita Priya. So it says there that Krishna is like an actor on a stage. He comes on the stage and she says, I can't recognize you. And he plays different parts. He wears different costumes just for his own pleasure and the pleasure of his devotees. So that's why he went out of his way. Otherwise, where would we get the story of building the bridge and Hanuman burning Lanka down and all that kind of stuff? We would be deprived if it was all over at that point. Or if he didn't go, because he knew there was illusory Sita forms. That's all right, no problem. It's a very good question. Thank you very much. Okay, we have inside people's parties. Okay, Ekachakra Pran.
So we read that a lot of this information came from the diaries of Swarup Damodar Goswami. Is there any insight about how he received all these details about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's travels if he wasn't there?
It was mentioned that they had also talked to Krishnadas. He had servants going with him, and he also gave his eyewitness accounts. Plus, GPS tracked everything. Okay, I thought we had a couple inside. Yeah? 1, 2, 1, 2.
Also, Sita wanted to save these other kidnapped ladies. There were so many other women who were kidnapped and kept there at Lanka. So that arrangement had to be done also.
Oh.
Therefore, when Hanuman wanted to get her, she said, no, I must stay so that Ramachandra comes and saves me and then liberates everyone.
Just see, multiple reasons. Thank you.
Another point, I like the description when Mahaprabhu went to the Sri Shaila, I think the Parvat, and then there were all the demigods there, and Lord Shiva and Parvati were in disguise like Brahmana and Brahmani, and they were very happy to meet him, and they fed him for 3 days, and Lord Shiva had a Nishta Goshti, that was the word used by Kaviraj Goswami, for 3 days on very confidential topics.
Mm-hmm.
We could just meditate how Mahaprabhu is really giving his association to everyone.
Yes, one of the fruits of these kinds of pilgrimages, find that the story of Ajamil was taken when Shukadeva Goswami was traveling, and he met some sages, and they all sat down and had Ishtagoshti, and he got that story and brought it to light with Parikshit Maharaj. And Balaram, so many experiences. So it's good to take 20 years to go on pilgrimage at least. Okay, you had a point?
Also, I heard that when Lord Brahma took the cowherd boys from Govardhan, that also was like a illusory manifestation. Was that? Have you heard that before too?
It was what?
Just how Sita Devi, that was an illusory form that was taken by Ravana. Similarly, the cowherd boys also was an illusory form they took. They
weren't illusory forms. They were actually forms of Lord Narayan. So there's a difference, because when Brahma then sees, when Krishna reveals to him what those forms were, because Brahma became bewildered that, wait a minute, I thought they were over here, but they're over here. And then Krishna, in order to exhibit his supreme opulences, showed that all of them were Narayan forms. And they began circumambulating Krishna and entering to his body and coming back out and things like that. So slightly different. Yes, Madhav.
I think in the Ramayana it comes like where Indrajit he takes an illusory Sita and he kills that illusory Sita to show that I'm going to kill her now. But what he doesn't realize is even the Sita that he has is also illusory.
That's funny.
Like Ram's doing even a bigger thing.
And Shalva did that too with Vasudev. He said, look, I have your father here and I'm going to decapitate him. And Krishna, wanting to enjoy feeling a human rasa, he lamented for a moment that, oh, my father's been killed. Yes, Prabhu.
It's good you brought up this example of Salva, because there, although Krishna, the Supreme Lord, he exhibits human-like behavior. So our acharyas have explained that this aspect of the Lord is called Asura Mohana, so that those who are atheistic, they can feel that the Lord is an ordinary person. And that's one of the reasons that even the pure devotees, that's why it said their activities cannot be understood by human minds, because they're also all perfect. Although they're not God, but they're all perfect. So in their behavior in this world, it may appear that they committed some faults or this or that, but actually they're faultless.
Thank you. Okay, last one. Last two from the Outside People's Party.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I was just thinking how personal Lord Chaitanya is, this pastime of the Brahmana, how he was very distressed about hearing, like trying to work out what happened with Lord Sita, and then Lord Chaitanya spoke to him, sort of pacified him, and then he went to the next place, and then he found the manuscript, and he came all the way back to give him that manuscript. It's kind of very personal aspect.
I agree with you. It's so personal and touching, isn't it? How much he cared for Ramdas Vipra. Amazing. And how he approved of his method of worship. It's great. Was there one more outside? No. Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Oh, yes.
Actually, my point is already spoken by Prabhu. But I want to add one thing. This Chaitanya Charitamrita reading and hearing is so nectarian. So it gives lot of insights and how Lord is reciprocating with his devotees. Like in case of Sakshi Gopal incident, Gopal came all the way from Vrindavan to Orissa. So in this scenario also, here also Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was reciprocating with Brahmana, Ramdas Vipra. The Lord knows the heart of his devotee. He went all the way from Madurai to Rameshwaram, and he came back. He need not come, but still he came back with the original manuscript to pacify the devotee. And the devotee also became so happy, and because the devotee couldn't feed Mahaprabhu properly, now he was so happy and enlivened. So a lot of loving reciprocations by the Lord in this nectarian Chaitanya Charitamrita. Thank you, Maharaj.
Well stated, well stated. Thank you very much. Now we're continuing with our reading, but first we're going to do a stand-up and say Gauranga. Could at least stay in tune. Go. Apparently not. Ranga. Close. Try one more time. B plus. Everyone okay? Yes. Outside People's Party? They're always enlivened out there. Okay, we're continuing with reading from Madhya 9, Lord Chaitanya's travels to holy places, and we're taking up at text number 219. There were 9 temples of Lord Vishnu at Naya Tripati on the bank of the river Tamraparni. And after bathing in the river, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the deities with great curiosity and wandered on. The 9 Vishnu temples known as Nayana Tripati, Navatirupati, are situated in and around Alwar Tirunagurai. This is a town about 17 miles southeast of Tirunelveli. All the deities of the temples assemble together during a yearly festival in the town. After this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to a holy place known as Chiyadatala, where he saw the deities of the 2 brothers, Lord Ramachandra and Lakshman. He then proceeded to Tilakanchi, where he saw the temple of Lord Shiva. Purport: Chiyadatala is sometimes known as Chiratala. It is near the city of Kaila, and there is a temple there dedicated to Lord Sri Ramachandra and his brother Lakshmana. Tilakanchi, Tenkasi, is about 30 miles northeast of the city of Tirunelveli. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then visited the holy place named Gajendra Mokshana, where he went to a temple of Lord Vishnu. He then came to Panagadi, a holy place where he saw the deities of Lord Ramachandra and Sita. Purport: the Gajendra Mokshana temple is sometimes mistaken for a temple of Lord Shiva. It is about 2 miles south of the city of Kaivera. Actually, the deity is not of Lord Shiva, but of Vishnu. Panagadi is about 30 miles south of Tirunelveli. Formerly, the temple there contained the deity of Sri Ramachandra, but later the devotees of Lord Shiva replaced Lord Ramachandra with the deity of Lord Shiva named Rameshwara and Ramlinga Shiva. Later, the Lord went to Chamtapur, where he saw the deities of Lord Ramachandra and Lakshman. He then went to Sri Vaikuntha and saw the temple of Lord Vishnu there. Chamatapura, sometimes called Chenaganur, is located in the state of Kerala. A temple of Lord Ramachandra and Lakshman is located there. Sri Vaikuntha, about 4 miles north of Alwar Tirungarai and 16 miles southeast of Tirunelveli, is situated on the bank of the Tamraparni river. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to Malaya Parvat and offered prayers to Agastya Muni. He then visited Kanyakumari, Cape Cormorant. The range of mountains in South India, beginning at Kerala and extending to Cape Cormorant, is called Malaya Parvat. Concerning Agastya, there are 4 opinions. 1, there is a temple of Agastya Muni in the village of Agastya Yampali, in the district of Tanjore. 2, there is a temple of Lord Skanda on a hill known as Shiva Giri, and this temple is said to have been established by Agastya Muni. 3, some say that the hill near Cape Cormorant, known as Patia, served as Agastya Muni's residence. 4, there is a place known as Agastya Malaya, which is a range of hills on both sides of the Tamraparni River. Cape Cormorant itself is also known as Kanyakumari. After visiting Kanyakumari, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Amlitala, where he saw the deity of Sri Ramachandra. Thereafter he went to a place known as Mallara Desh, where a community of Bhattaharis lived. North of the Mallara Desh is South Kannada. In the east are Coorg and Mysore. To the south of Cochin and to the west is the Arabian Sea. As far as the Bhattataris are concerned, they are a nomadic community. They camp wherever they like and have no fixed place of residence. Outwardly, they take up the dress of sannyasis, but their real business is stealing and cheating. They allure others to supply women for their camp, and they cheat many women and keep them within their community. In this way, they increase their population. In Bengal also there is a similar community. Actually, all over the world there are nomadic communities whose business is simply to allure, cheat, and steal innocent women. After visiting Mallara Desh, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Tamal Kartik and then to Vetapani. There he saw the temple of Raghunath, Lord Ramachandra, and passed the night. Tamal Kartik is 44 miles south of Tonurnelveli and 2 miles south of Amaravali mountain. It is located within the jurisdiction of Tovalai. Tamal Kartik is a temple of Subramanya, or Lord Kartik, the son of Lord Shiva. Vetapani, or Vatapani, is north of Kaila in the Tamil Nadu state. It is also known as Bhutapandi and is within the jurisdiction of the Tobala district. It is understood that formerly there was a deity of Lord Ramachandra there. Later the deity was replaced with the deity of Lord Shiva, known as Rameshwara, or Bhutanath. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was accompanied by his servant Krishnadas. He was a Brahmin, but he met with the Bhattataris there. With women, the Bhattataris allured the Brahmin Krishnadas, who was simple and gentle. By virtue of their bad association, they polluted his intelligence. Allured by the Bhattataris, Krishnadas went to their place early in the morning. The Lord also went there very quickly, just to find him. Upon reaching their community, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the Bhattataris, "Why are you keeping my Brahmin assistant? I am in the renounced order of life, and so are you, yet you are purposefully giving me pain, and I do not see any good logic in this." Upon hearing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the Bhattataris came running from all sides with weapons in their hands, desiring to hurt the Lord. However, their weapons fell from their hands and struck their own bodies. When some of the Bhattataris were thus cut to pieces, the others ran away in 4 directions. While there was much roaring and crying at the Bhattatari community, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu grabbed Krishnadas by the hair and took him away. That very night, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his assistant Krishnadas arrived at the bank of the Payasvini river. They took their bath and then went to see the temple of Adikeshava. When the Lord saw the Adikeshava temple, he was immediately overwhelmed with ecstasy. Offering various obeisances and prayers, he chanted and danced. All the people there were greatly astonished to see the ecstatic pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They all received the Lord very well. In the temple of Adikeshava, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discussed spiritual matters among highly advanced devotees. While there, he found a chapter of the Brahma Samhita. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was greatly happy to find a chapter of that scripture, and symptoms of ecstatic transformation, trembling, tears, perspiration, trance, and jubilation were manifest in his body. There is no scripture equal to the Brahma Samhita as far as the final spiritual conclusion is concerned. Indeed, that scripture is the supreme revelation of the glories of Lord Govinda, for it reveals the topmost knowledge about him. Since all conclusions are briefly presented in the Brahma Samhita, it is essential among all Vaishnava literatures. Purport: the Brahma Samhita is a very important scripture. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu acquired the 5th chapter from the Adikeshava temple. In that 5th chapter, the philosophical conclusion of Achintya Bhed Abhed Tattva, simultaneous oneness and difference, is presented. The chapter also presents methods of devotional service, the 18-syllable Vedic hymn, discourses on the soul, the supersoul, and fruit of activity, an explanation of Kama Gayatri, Kama Bija, and the original Mahavishnu, and a detailed description of the spiritual world, specifically Goloka Vrindavan. The Brahma Samhita also explains the demigod Ganesh, Garbhadakshay Vishnu, the origin of the Gayatri mantra, the form of Govinda, and his transcendental position and abode. The living entities, the highest goal, the goddess Durga, the meaning of austerity, the 5 gross elements, love of Godhead, impersonal Brahman, the initiation of Lord Brahma, and the vision of transcendental love enabling one to see the Lord. Are all the verses coming to your head as I say the parts? Yeah. The steps of devotional service are also explained. The mind, Yoga Nidra, the goddess of fortune, devotional service and spontaneous ecstasy. Incarnations beginning with Lord Ramachandra, deities, the conditioned soul and its duties, the truth about Lord Vishnu, prayers, Vedic hymns, Lord Shiva, the Vedic literature, personalism and impersonalism, good behavior, and many other subjects are also discussed. There is also a description of the Son and the universal form of the Lord. All these subjects are conclusively explained in a nutshell in the Brahma Samhita. Haribo, Hari Hari, Hari Hari. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had the Brahma Samhita copied, and then with great pleasure he went to a place known as Ananta Padmanabha. Concerning Ananta Padmanabha, one should refer to Madhya Lila, chapter 1, text 115. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained for 2 or 3 days at Ananta Padmanabha and visited the temple there. Then in great ecstasy he went to see the temple of Sri Janardhan. The temple of Sri Janardhan is situated 26 miles north of Trivandrum, near the Varkal railway station. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted and danced at Sri Janardhan for 2 days. He then went on the bank of the Payasvini River and visited the temple of Shankara Narayana. Once when I was traveling in South India with Ananda Sarup Maharaj, I was brahmachari assistant, and the train was, we were just traveling on trains then. It was really hot in South India, and it was nighttime. Train was like 18 hours late or something like that. And I was fried. I've been traveling a lot. I was standing there in the train station. I had a huge shika then too, because I was living in South India, so I kept one of those South Indian shikas. And Maharaj had to take a walk, so he handed me his danda. And I was just standing there. It had a huge bead bag too, because I had these gigantic beads, and it had the big shika and a bead bag and this thing. And somebody came up to him and said, "Where is your native place?" And I was so kind of fried, exhausted. I didn't say anything. I just kept chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So somebody else came over and they goes, "Where is your native place?" And I and I didn't say anything. I said, "I'm not talking to anybody." And the more I didn't talk, I mean, that's a funny way to say it, but the more I stood there, the more people came over. Pretty soon there was a ring around me. And then there were people ring around the ring. And then there were people I saw, they were trying to climb over everybody else to look in. And I still didn't say anything. And so then one person gave me a donation. He just handed me some rupees, and I didn't say anything. I just took it and stuffed it in my bead bag, and then everybody started giving money. And then Maharaj came back, and I was just standing there with a huge bag of, that's like a South India story. They're just so pious down there. It was amazing. It's just all these descriptions of travel in South India and the train stations. It reminded me of that. Then he saw the monastery known as Sringeri Mat, the abode of Acharya Shankara. He then visited Matsyatirtha, a place of pilgrimage, and took a bath in the river Tungabhadra. The monastery, known as Sringeri Mat, is situated in the state of Karnataka, in the district of Chikmagaluru. This monastery is located at the confluence of the rivers Tunga and Bhadra, 7 miles south of Hariharapura. The real name of this place is Sringagiri or Sringaverapuri, and it is the headquarters of Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya had 4 principal disciples, and he established 4 centers under their management. In North India, at Badarikashram, the monastery named Jyotirmath was established. At Purushottam, the Govardhana or Govardhana monastery was established. In Dwarka, the Sarada monastery was established, and the 4th monastery established in South India is known as Sringeri Mat. In the Sringeri Mat, the sannyasis assumed the designations Saraswati, Bharati, and Puri. They are all Ekadandi sannyasis, distinguished from the Vaishnava sannyasis, who are known as Tridandi sannyasis. The Sringeri Mat is situated in South India in a portion of the country known as Andhra, Dravida, Karnataka, and Kerala. The community is called Burivara, and the dynasty is called Bhuva. The place is known as Rameshwara, and the slogan is Aham Brahmasmi. The deity is Lord Varaha, and the energetic power is Kamakshi. The Acharya is Hastamalaka, and the brahmachari assistants of the sannyasis are known as Chaitanya. The place of pilgrimage is called Tungabhadra, and the subject for Vedic study is the Yajurveda. The list of the disciplic succession from Shankaracharya is available, and the names of the acharyas and the dates of their accepting sannyas, according to the Shaka era or Shakabda, are as follows. For approximate Krishna era dates, add 78 years. See if you can do that on the fly. Shankaracharya 622 Shaka, Shareshwara Acharya 630, Bodhana Acharya 680, Jnanadandacharya Danacharya 768, Jnanotama Shivacharya 827, Yanagiri Acharya 871, Simagiri Acharya 958. Madhav, are you keeping up? Ishvara Tirtha 1019, Nishringatirtha 1067, Vidyatirtha Vidya Shankar 1150, Bharati Krishna Tirtha 1250, Vidyaranya Bharati 1253, Chandrasekhar Bharati 1290, Nishringa Bharati 1309, Purushottam Bharati 1328, Shankarananda 1350, Chandrasekhar Bharati 1371, Nishringa Bharati 1386, Purushottam Bharati 1398, Ramachandra Bharati 1430, Narasingha Bharati 1479, Narasingha Bharati 1485, Dhanamadi Narasingha Bharati 1498, Abhinav Nrsimha Bharati 1521, Sakchidananda Bharati 1544, Nrsimha Bharati 1585, Sakchidananda Bharati 1627, Abhinav Sachidananda Bharati 1663, Nrsimha Bharati 1689, Sachinandana Bharati 1692, Abhinav Sachinandana Bharati 1730, Nrsimha Bharati 1739, Sachit Ananda, Shiva Vinava Vidya Narasingha Bharati, that's the longest name ever, 1788. Regarding Shankaracharya, it is understood that he was born in the year 608 of the Shakabda era. in the month of Vaisesika, on the 3rd day of the waxing moon, in a place in South India known as Kaladi. His father's name was Shivaguru, and he lost his father at an early age. When Shankaracharya was only 8 years old, he completed his study of all scriptures and took sannyas from Govinda, who was residing on the banks of the Narmada. After accepting sannyas, Shankaracharya stayed with his spiritual master for some days. He then took his permission to go to Varanasi, and from there he went to Badarika, where he stayed until his 12th year. While there, he wrote a commentary on the Brahma Sutra, as well as on 10 Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita. He also wrote Sanat Sujatya and a commentary on the Nrsimha Tapani. Among his many disciples, his 4 chief disciples are Padmapad, Shureshwar, Hasta Malaka, and Trotaka. After departing from Varanasi, Shankaracharya went to Prayag, where he met a great learned scholar called Kurmarilabhat. Shankaracharya wanted to discuss the authority of the scriptures, but Kumarilabhat, being on his deathbed, sent him to his disciple Mandana in the city of Mahishmati. It is there that Shankaracharya defeated Madana Mishra in a discussion of the Shastras. Madana had a wife named Saraswati, or Ubhaya Bharati, who served as mediator between Shankaracharya and her husband. It is said that she wanted to discuss erotic principles and amorous love with Shankaracharya, but Shankaracharya had been a brahmachari since birth and therefore had no experience in amorous love. He took a month's leave from Ubhaya Bharati and, by his mystic power, entered the body of a king who had just died. In this way, Shankaracharya experienced the erotic principles. After attaining this experience, he wanted to discuss erotic principles with Ubhaya Bharati, but without hearing his discussion, she blessed him and assured the continuous existence of the Sringari Mat. She then took leave of material life. Afterwards, Madan Mishra took the order of sannyas from Shankaracharya and became known as Shureshwara. Shankaracharya defeated many scholars throughout India and converted them to his Mayavad philosophy. He left his material body at the age of 33. He got a lot done. As far as Matsyatirtha is concerned, it was supposedly situated beside the ocean in the district of Malabar. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu next arrived at Udupi, the place of Madhvacharya, where the philosophers known as Tattvavadis resided. There he saw the deity of Lord Krishna and became mad with ecstasy. Sripad Madhvacharya took his birth near Udupi, which is situated in the South Kannada district of South India, just west of Sayadri. This is the chief city of the South Kannada province and is near the city of Mangalore, which is situated in the south of Udupi. Near the city of Udupi is a place called Pajaka Kshetra, where Madhvacharya took his birth in a Shivali Brahmana dynasty as the son of Madhya Gehabhata. In the year 1040 Shakabda AD 1118. According to some, he was born in the year 1160 Shakabda AD 1238. In his childhood, Madhvacharya was known as Vasudev, and there are some wonderful stories surrounding him. It is said that once, when his father had piled up many debts, Madhvacharya converted tamarind seeds into actual coins to pay them off. When he was 5 years old, he was offered a sacred thread. A demon named Maniman lived near his abode in the form of a snake, and at the age of 5, Madhvacharya killed that snake with the toe of his left foot. When his mother was very much disturbed, he would appear before her in one jump. He was a great scholar, and even in childhood, a great scholar scholar even in childhood, and although his father did not agree, he accepted sannyas at the age of 12. Upon receiving sannyas from Achyuta Preksha, he received the name Purna Prajnatirtha. After traveling all over India, he finally discussed scriptures with Vidyashankara, the exalted leader of Sringeri Math. Vidyashankara was actually diminished in the presence of Madhvacharya. Accompanied by Satyatirtha, Madhvacharya went to Badarikashram. It was there that he met Madhvacharya. It was there that he met Vyasadeva and explained his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita before him. Thus he became a great scholar by studying before Vyasadeva. By the time he came to the Ananda Math from Badarikashram, Madhvacharya had finished his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. His companion Satyatirtha wrote down the entire commentary. When Madhvacharya returned from Badarikashram, he went to Ganjama, which is on the bank of the river Godavari. There he met with two learned scholars named Shobhana Bhatt and Swami Shastri. Later these scholars became known in the disciplic succession of Madhvacharya as Padmanabha Tirtha and Narahari Tirtha. When he returned to Udupi, he would sometimes bathe in the ocean. On such an occasion, he composed a prayer in 5 chapters. Once while sitting beside the sea, engrossed in meditation upon Lord Sri Krishna, he saw the large boat containing goods for Dwarka was in danger. He gave some signs by which the boat could approach the shore, and it was saved. The owners of the boat wanted to give him a present, and at the time Madhvacharya agreed to take some Gopi Chandan. He received a big lump of Gopi Chandana, and as it was being brought to him, it broke apart and revealed a larger deity of Lord Krishna. The deity had a stick in one hand and a lump of food in the other. As soon as Madhvacharya received the deity of Krishna in this way, he composed a prayer. The deity was so heavy that not even 30 people could lift it. Yet Madhvacharya personally brought this deity to Udupi. 8 of Madhvacharya's sannyas disciples became directors of his 8 monasteries. Worship of the Lord Krishna deity is still going on at Udupi according to the plans Madhvacharya established. Madhvacharya then for the second time visited Badarikashram. While he was passing through Maharashtra, the local king was digging a big lake for the public benefit. As Madhvacharya passed through that area with his disciples, he was also obliged to help in the excavation. After some time, when Madhvacharya visited the king, he engaged the king in that work and departed with his disciples. Often in the province of Ganga Pradesh, there were fights between Hindus and Muslims. The Hindus were on one bank of the river and the Muslims on the other. Due to the community tension, no boat was available for crossing the river. The Muslim soldiers were always stopping passengers on the other side, but Madhvacharya did not care for these soldiers. He crossed the river anyway, and when he met the soldiers on the other side, he was brought before the king. The Muslim king was so pleased with him that he wanted to give him a kingdom and some money, but Madhvacharya refused. While walking on the road, he was attacked by some dacoits, but by his bodily strength he killed them all. When his companion Satyatirtha was attacked by a tiger, Madhvacharya separated them by virtue of his great strength. When he met Vyasadeva, he received from him the Shalagram Shila known as Ashtamurti. After this, he summarized the Mahabharata. Madhvacharya's devotion to the Lord and his erudite scholarship became known throughout India. Consequently, the owners of the Sringeri Math established by Shankaracharya became a little perturbed. At that time, the followers of Shankaracharya were afraid of Madhvacharya's rising power, and they began to tease Madhvacharya's disciples in many ways. There was even an attempt to prove that the disciplic succession of Madhvacharya was not in line with Vedic principles. A person named Pundarik Puri, a follower of the Madhva of the Mayavad philosophy of Shankaracharya came before Madhvacharya to discuss the Shastras. It is said that all of Madhvacharya's books were taken away, but later they were found with the help of King Jayasringha, ruler of Kumla. In discussion, Pundarik Puri was defeated by Madhvacharya. A great personality named Trivikramacharya, who was a resident of Vishnu Mangala, became Madhvacharya's disciple, and his son later became Narayanacharya, the composer of Sri Madhva Vijay. After the death of Trivikramacharya, the younger brother of Narayanacharya took sannyas and later became known as Vishnu Tirtha. It was reputed that there was no limit to the bodily strength of Purna Prajna Madhvacharya. There was a person named Kadanjari who is famed for possessing the strength of 30 men. Madhvacharya placed the big toe of his foot on the ground and asked the man to separate it from the ground. But the great strong man could not do so, even after great effort. Srila Madhvacharya passed from this material world at the age of 80 while writing a commentary on the Aitareya Upanishad. For further information about Madhvacharya, one should read Madhva Vijay by Narayana Acharya. The Acharyas of the Madhva Sampradaya established Udupi as the chief center, and the monastery there was known as Uttararadhi-mat. A list of the different centers of the Madhvacharya Sampradaya can be found at Udupi, and their mat commanders are 1. Vishnu Tirtha, 2. Janardhan Tirtha, 3. Vaman Tirtha, 4. Nrsinga Tirtha, 5. Upendra Tirtha, 6. Ram Tirtha, 7. Rishikesh Tirtha, and 8. Akshobhya Tirtha. Their mats were listed next to them, so later tonight, if you can't sleep, you can open this and read those. The disciplic succession of the Madhvacharya Sampradaya is as follows. The dates are those of birth in the Shakabda era. For Krishna era dates add 78 years. Okay, keep track. 1. Hamsa Paramatma. 2. Chaturmukha Brahma. 3. Sanakadi. 4. Durvasa. 5. Jnananidhi. 6. Garuda Vahana. 7. Kaivalya Tirtha. 8. Ganesh Tirtha. 9. Paratirtha. 10. Satya Pragya Tirtha. 11. Pragya Tirtha. 12. Achyuta Preksharacharya Tirtha. 13. Sri Madhvacharya 1040 Shaka. 14. Padmanabha 1120. Narhari 1127. Madhva, Akshobhya, Jayatirtha, Vidya Nidhiraj, Kavindra, Vagisha, Ramachandra, Vidyanidhi, Sri Raghunath, Rayuvarya, who spoke with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Raghutama, Vedavyas, Vedadish, Vedanidhi, Satyavrata, Satyanidhi, Satyanath, Satyabhinava, Satyapurna, Satyavijay, Satyapriya, Satyabodha, Satyasanda, Satyavara, Satyadharma, Satyasankalpa, Satyasantushta, Satyaparayana, Satyakama, Satyeshta, Satyaparakrama, Satyadhira, Satyadhira Tirtha. After the 16th Acharya, Vidyaraj Tirtha, there was another disciplic succession, including Rajendra Tirtha, 1254, Vidyadwaj, Purushottam, Subramanya, and Vyas Roy, 1470 to 1520. The 19th Acharya, Ramchandra Tirtha, had another disciplic succession, including Vibhudendra, 1218, Jita Mitra 1348, Raghunandana Surendra, Vijendra, Sudhindra, and Raghavendra Tirtha. To date, in the Udupi monastery there are another 14 Madhva Tirtha sannyasis. As stated, Udupi is situated beside the sea in South Kannara, about 60 miles north of Mangalore. Most of the information in this purport is available from the South Kannada Manual and the Bombay Gazette. Pick me up a copy of the Bombay Gazette when you're next time downtown. While at the Udupi monastery, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Nartaka Gopal, dancing Gopal, a most beautiful deity. This deity appeared to Madhvacharya in a dream. Madhvacharya had somehow or other acquired the deity of Krishna from a heap of gopi chandana that had been transported in a boat. Madhvacharya brought this dancing Gopal deity to Udupi and installed him in the temple. To date, the followers of Madhvacharya, known as Tattvavadis, worship this deity. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu received great pleasure in this beautiful form of Gopal. For a long time he danced and chanted in ecstatic love. When the Tattvavadi Vaishnavas first saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they considered him a Mayavadi sannyasi. Therefore they did not talk to him. Later, after seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in ecstatic love, they were struck with wonder. Then, considering him a Vaishnav, they gave him a nice reception. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand that the Tattvavadis were very proud of their Vaishnavism. He therefore smiled and began to speak to them. Considering them very proud, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began his discussion. The chief acharya of the Tattvavad community was very learned in the revealed scriptures. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu humbly questioned him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "I do not know very well the aim of life and how to achieve it. Please tell me of the best ideal for humanity and how to attain it." The acharya replied, "When the activities of the 4 castes and the 4 ashramas are dedicated to Krishna, they constitute the best means whereby one can attain the highest goal of life. When one dedicates the duties of varnashrama dharma to Krishna, he is eligible for 5 kinds of liberation. Thus he is transferred to the spiritual world in Vaikuntha. This is the highest goal of life and the verdict of all revealed scriptures." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, according to the verdict of the Shastras, the process of hearing chanting is the best means to attain love to Krishna, loving service to Krishna. Purport: according to the Tattvavadis, the best process for achieving the highest goal of life is to execute the duties of the 4 varnas and ashramas. In the material world, unless one is situated in one of the varnas, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, one cannot manage social affairs properly to attain the ultimate goal. One also has to follow the principles of the ashramas, brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas, since these principles are considered essential for the attainment of the highest goal. In this way, the Tattvavadis established that the execution of the principles of varna and ashram for the sake of Krishna is the best way to attain the topmost goal. The Tattvavadis thus established their principles in terms of human society. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, differed when he said that the best process is hearing and chanting about Lord Vishnu. According to the Tattvavadis, the highest goal is returning home back to Godhead, but in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's opinion, the highest goal is attaining love of Godhead, either in the material world or the spiritual world. In the material world, this is practiced according to Shastra conjunction, and in the spiritual world, the real achievement is already there. And that brings us to a short break for the evening, and we'll be back here at 23 minutes before the hour. Gaur Premanande Haribo.